everybody. Thank you for stopping in once again to the official podcast of the Boston Police Patrolmen Association. We call it Answering the Call. And as always, my name is Jamie Kenneally, alongside BPPA President Larry Calderone. Larry?
Thanks for having me, Jamie. Ready to go.
Well, I kind of always have to have you since it's just...
I know. It's amazing how that works, doesn't it?
All right, we're going to talk contract in a second, Larry. It's been 4 months since the contract's been ratified. A good time to take a look. We've heard some good feedback. But before we do that, as always, the floor is yours to just say thank you to the members who make up one of the best police departments in the country.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate being on the show. I appreciate everything that you do, not only legislatively and obviously here on the podcast, but an intricate part of what we're doing down at the House of Reps. And this is just another opportunity for us to tell the men and women that are out there getting ordered weekend in, weekend out, but continuing to keep their spirits up and representing the citizens of Boston and all our visitors as professionals, like always. And finally, as we're driving around, seeing people on public safety details, visiting the roll calls as usual, we see a lot more smiles than we're used to in the past. So that's good. Keep your spirits up, be safe, and continue representing not only the Patrolmen Association, but the city of Boston at the same time.
Well said, Larry. Just real quick, I know over the weekend you and I had the pleasure and the honor of attending the Relief Association Awards Ball. And if ever there were a reminder of the great work being done and just how dangerous this job is, I would certainly submit that the Awards Ball serves as that reminder.
No, it was another great event. Again, an organization that we can't be more thankful to, the Police Relief Association. They continue to look after families, to look after retirees, and make sure that they know not only do they have their union and do they have their extended family friends that may or may not be retired or on the job, but they have another organization that's out there for their benefit as well. And the ball, another great success, another opportunity to remind our men and women that their heroic actions are not going unnoticed, that there are people out there willing to time and time again say thank you, recognize them, have an event where their family can come down and be impressed, more so than they are every time that mom and dad put on the uniform. But when you get your family in the room and you're reading these heroic actions the officers are taking, it's extremely humbling to be in the room and have the opportunity to see younger officers coming up and being honored. So I hope they keep doing it. It's
an emotional day for sure, especially two of the biggest awards. One of our officers was shot in the line of duty. Thankfully, he's okay. Injuries were non-life-threatening. Then the second award, two Schroeder Brother Awards, which is the department's highest honor for bravery and valor, and another officer who was nearly stabbed to death. And you're in that room and you see these young faces, because I think you and I are a little bit older, and it really does hit home and make you appreciate the courage and conviction of our workforce.
Well, take it easy on the age, because I still look like I'm, 30,
you look 30, great,
37.
Larry. You look
great. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the officers that you know who we're talking about, the most recent officer, unfortunately, they were shot in good spirits. We were at the hospital. We saw him recovering. If there's ever an opportunity to say to that officer, wow, what a professional, handling this scene like a veteran. But he's doing well. And then the officer that you mentioned that was stabbed, he and his partner that night also doing as well as can be. They were in attendance, and definitely not last and least, but the Schroeder family. So the Schroeder family who had multiple losses in their family's time in the police department. We had the honor, the BPPA had the honor of having family members sitting at our table with us. So if you had anything to do with that, we say thank you. It was an honor to have them with us, and we'll see everybody there again next year.
Yeah, and I just want to hit on that real quick. The families of our fallen heroes, of our fallen brothers and sisters, it means so much to see them there, and no doubt these awards are important to them because it honors their loved ones and it honors the great work of our officers. But a great award for sure. Last thing real quick, and again, the danger of the job. Had an officer shot about almost a month ago on Esmond Street responding to a domestic. I know, Larry, you were all over the media the next day, and I think there's a chance to reissue the sentiment that you shared, that anytime one of our officers is hurt, you're quick to tell people, hey, let's be clear, it's never okay for anyone to think it's okay to hurt or harm a cop.
Oh, well, I mean, that should go without saying nowadays, Jamie, and I know it doesn't, but and we're not just talking about officers that are shot, officers that are stabbed. It's never okay to put a hand on a police officer. Whether we're talking about our officers last year downtown Crossing that got attacked when they were on their pedal bikes, we can go back to the riots where people are throwing batteries, bottles of urine, etc. It is never okay to assault a man or a woman in uniform that are out there to protect and serve you, the general public. This misguided anger that is being directed at police officers, not only in Boston, but across the country, is just that. It's misguided. Yeah. And it's being utilized as a weapon by certain individuals with their own agenda. And they forget the man and woman in uniform, that their husbands, their wives, their mothers, their fathers, etc. Yeah, they're people serving others. So, I hope anybody that listens to this really takes that to heart. In the most agitating moment, I guess, try to recollect, it is never okay to put your hands on a police officer. Treat people the way you would want to be treated yourself. You can't go wrong.
Yeah. Treat police officers like they're actually human beings as well. But anyway, I'm glad we get a chance to touch on that. It was a nice ceremony and a great job of the Relief Association. All right, so contract talk, Larry. We're 4 months since the contract's been ratified, a chance for things to settle in. Before we get to talking about how great and awesome the contract is, because I think most people know it's quite arguably one of the best contracts in the history of this organization.
Can I just lead with that? Can I go and lead with that?
But I want to hit you with the crazy questions first, which I know you heard, and I'm not even sure these questions deserve an answer, but just to get them out there and lighten the mood a little bit, I want to hit you with some of the crazy questions. And I know stupid questions might be a better description. But let me hit you with 3 or 4 real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
You want to respond after each one, or you want me to just give you the whole list?
Why don't you give them to me? You know how I like to go. Write some notes down here, and you laugh at me.
So,
but,
I heard some of these, and they made me laugh, and they also pissed me off a little bit. But the first one is the retro, although significant, could have been bigger. The retro could have been bigger. That's one of the criticisms / questions that I heard. Mm-hmm. Second one that we've heard, and some of our leadership team has heard, if you just take out the TCAP, that big piece of the contract, which really, provides for about a 20+% pay raise. Yeah, you take that TCAP away, the contract's just okay. That's number 2. All right? Yeah. And I want to out the kid who said it.
I hope the next question's better, but go ahead.
They get better. Yeah. Third criticism, crazy question, comment, whatever. Young officers will not benefit from this contract.
Wow. That's one that I really haven't heard much, but okay. Younger officers won't benefit from it.
Yeah, they won't benefit. The pensionable income, the pay increases, none of that stuff, even though, I'll let you answer. And then we'll handle this last one. Folks who said, geez, I didn't think the contract was ever about prioritizing details. Yeah. There's the first 3 really, you got to just roll your eyes. But they were said in the best interest or maybe worst interest of transparency. I'd like you just to kind of address these and knock them down.
Sure. Let's start with number 3 on the list. The younger officers not benefit. So I did kind of chuckle while you were talking.
You should be chuckling at all, buddy.
Yeah. Look, if the contract affects anybody the most, it's younger officers. Particularly the TCAP, and I know that's part of question number 2, but the TCAP is the 1% multiplier. It is guaranteed for these officers unless, in the next contract negotiation or another president somehow bargains it away. I would hope not, considering we've been trying to get it since 1987 when the fire department picked it up. But it's the multiplier that for the next, 30 to 35 years for brand new officers, that they will continue to multiply on top of any contractual raise that they get this incentive known as the TCAP, the Career Award Program. Whoever it is that's running around with that type of rhetoric or nonsense, clearly, I hope everybody understands that.
Please just stop.
All right, let's be clear. I know who it is. I know it's a member of the House of Reps. I understand he addressed his roll call. Give everybody out there a chuckle. Listen, what I guess I'll say to that individual is be thankful, everybody, that member of the House of Reps is not the guy negotiating your contract, because this is the best, the largest contract in the history of the Boston Police Patrolmen's Association. I'm very thankful to the leadership team and the people that helped me achieve this goal. It's what we set out to do. It's what many presidents before me set out to do. We've all attempted to get this career award incentive, and nobody could get it till we did. And we did it with full retro payment on the expired contract, which again has never happened in the history of this.
At least probably that first.
Oh yeah, let me continue on with that.
So, Larry, it was great, and it's the biggest ever. But it could have been bigger.
Yeah, again, this is a different individual, I think, that's spouting this. But you know what? The TCAP, the 20-odd% pay increase that everybody just enjoyed. Again, what we've been trying to get from the fire department for the last 30-odd years. We finally got it. But again, I hope that individual, anybody that's thinking like that, I hope that they're never negotiating a contract for the men and women of the BPPA because they don't understand compounded interest.
Right. It's glasses half empty-itis, and you can't, some people are never happy. But when I heard that, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Really? The retro could have been bigger? Literally the biggest, largest retro reimbursement ever. And instead of saying thank you, you get,
Well, I mean, look, we're on the podcast. Hopefully our membership at large is listening. There's always going to be unhappy.
This is not I should probably preface it with, this is not the majority. This are a couple crazy fringe members, but I thought it'd be interesting and kind of entertaining to hear some of the.
No, I appreciate it. Of course, I heard some of it. I wasn't gonna out our guy, but I know who's talking like that, and clearly it's people that I guess they're jealous. I guess that the success of their union leadership, they'd rather poke holes in. They'd rather say how they could have done better. But if getting and delivering the best contract in the history of the BPPA isn't enough, and they think they could have done better than the best, I wish them luck, because this is the best in the history of the union.
Well, how about come on down and help before? If you get great ideas instead of after the fact. But anyway, Let's go from the crazy to the serious.
Sure.
And again, I just want to hit on the highlights of the contract. As you just said, retro's been paid now. It's the biggest retro reimbursement in the history of our union. Pay increases have taken effect. The TCAP, all pensionable income, by the way, has settled in. Detail rate has taken effect. Highest detail rate than we've ever seen. So many good things. If you took some of these things by themselves, and I talked to a couple of people, I said, once upon a time, somebody would make a decision about a contract based on just the retro. Hey, is it full retro? Yes, it is. All right, I'll vote for that. So you got full retro. You got the TCAP. You got a detailed pay increase that is now in the contract moving forward. One thing after another. Here we are again, Larry, 3-4 months after the fact. What's the feedback you're getting?
So the feedback I'm getting, again, as I'm stopping talking to people, going to roll calls, they love it. I have not had too much negative feedback. I have had a little, which I will get into in one second. But we're 4 months into it. We know how great the contract was. You and I just went over it. I guess we threw some shots out there at the others, but so be it. It is the best contract. We should be touting it. We should be extremely happy. And these officers that I'm seeing on the streets when I'm stopping, they're all smiles. They like finally being paid at the top echelon of the public safety detail rate program. For too many years, we've been stuck as the bottom 3 or 4th in the Commonwealth. We're the largest police department in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, next to the state police. We should be at the top of the pay scale. We absolutely want a detail language in our contract so that we would not have to beg every 7, 8, 9 years, take some lousy deal that was dangled in front of us just to get a little bit of a pay raise. It's totally unfair. So for the first time again in the history of this union, we won't have to bargain a public safety detail.
And no longer at the discretion of the commission.
No longer at the discretion of the police commissioner.
Which now that this is settled in, geez, that seemed like an awfully silly way to handle a pay increase in the detail system when the commission was ready to get around to it. No disrespect to it, but really that's That's the way it worked?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful either. I'm speaking the truth. Every 7, 8, 9 years, we would get a minimal detail raise and would have to trade some benefit for it.
Right.
We negotiated that. We traded a benefit with the mayor of the city, and she was gracious enough to bring us up to a fair and equal pay, put that language in our contract, tie it for future raises so that we never have to tackle this same problem again. So I'm proud of it. I'm happy with it. I think the members are happy with it. You made a comment on question number 4 about prioritizing those details.
Well,
that's one of the negative things.
Let's touch on 2 things because there are some legit concerns and questions that I think the members want to hear about. But yeah, there was the idea that some people weren't certain that this was about prioritizing the tier 1 details. And again, I think most understood that the push was to get most our officers working in the main drags, the big venues. I think you were pretty consistent about that throughout. But some are saying, I didn't know that. Maybe just clarify or reinforce that in fact is exactly what the intention was.
Yeah, that's why I do want to get into that and touch on it. Again, hopefully our listeners, our members are here listening to this as always, and I would like to clear up some of that confusion. We absolutely, there is language in the contract that we did ratify a contract prioritizing details. And I slowed down for it to make sure that I was clear because we had multiple, for 2 days, we had multiple meetings and informational sessions down at the Union Hall, attended by hundreds of our members, each one of them. And this was a very hot topic of conversation. In order to achieve the goals and the pay raises that we were able to attain, yes, we were trading prioritization of jobs. And here we are, in 2024, with some history of public safety being a real concern at these construction sites. Let's not forget on Congress Street where we had the individual that was knocked into the hole by the truck that was backing up. And the mayor was making a priority out of filling jobs on main drags. Yep. And in order to almost double the detail rate, which is what we did, we prioritized these details. We were paid well for the change. It's something that we campaigned on. It's something that we visited roll calls on. We definitely spoke about it for 2 days worth of informational sessions. Yep. We were doing what we should as public safety officials. Right. As police officers, we're there for public safety on these roadways, at these construction sites. We wanted to be paid well, like our brothers and sisters in other communities. We achieved that as their collective bargaining agent. We delivered a very good contract in exchange for prioritization. Yep. So I want to make sure that people hear that because that is something that has been said to me. Gee, I didn't realize I was voting for that. The only thing I can say to people as respectfully as I can with my fellow brothers and sisters, we're all police officers. Absolutely, please, if you didn't come to the informational session next time around, come to it. If your union rep is not addressing your questions at the station, call the union hall and speak to myself or any member of leadership. But when you vote to ratify a contract, you absolutely should be reading it and understanding it. And I'll go on a little bit more. There's always bumps in the road when you're implementing these contracts. There's always things that either side doesn't agree with, wants to reinterpret, whatever it is. Just like there's always members that want to say on Monday morning, hey, I didn't vote for that. I get it. I get it. There's always somebody that would have done it differently, could have done it better, or, earlier, like our buddy who says, gee, if you take the TCAP out, the biggest pay increase that we've ever gotten, the one that Fire's been enjoying. If you take that out, it's no good. So, there's always a Monday morning quarterback. We did the best we could. We delivered the best one in history. We'll do it again.
Hello, you did the best. You delivered the best. That's how you did the best. You delivered the best. But real quick, before we get to the one issue, I want to talk about the detail because there is an issue with implementation. But I just want to, I know some people are like, geez, it happened kind of quick and the stuff we did or didn't know. From day one, transparency has been your calling card. You sent out a survey to every member saying, hey, hello, contract time is coming up. What are the issues that are important to you? Help us fight the fight, prioritize the issue. So from start to finish, and you said it, and I heard it, and it's true, there's never been a more transparent leadership team as it relates to including the membership and exactly what's going on from start to finish. So to hear people say they didn't know, respectfully, if you didn't, you should have. I'll just leave it at that.
Understood. And you're spot on. We try to be as transparent as possible, just like the the initiation or startup of this podcast. We're out here doing what no other leadership has ever done. We're speaking to the members. We're getting on the record. We're on a recording. We're not hiding from anything. Are we perfect? Absolutely not. Have we made mistakes? Will we make mistakes? Of course we will. We're human. But make no mistake about this. We delivered the best contract in the history of this union. We're back at the table next year. We'll try to outdo ourselves, but again, being forthright and honest, it'd be pretty hard to do better than this contract.
I couldn't agree more. It's not because obviously we work together, but I just get a kick out of some people who say, it's okay. It's like, come on, please. All right, let's touch on the issue, though, if we get time, relative to the details, the implementation, day of jobs. Do you want to? Can we touch on that?
We can touch on whatever you want.
All right. So I mean, a lot of and I think frustration has been as it relates to the way the department has implemented the contract. I think the contract is pretty clearly written. I know folks are like, it's vague or it's open ended, which it isn't. But there have been some issues relative to the day of work. Where are we with that? And specifically, an officer trying to work, a day detail before he goes into a first half shift, and he was being some were deemed ineligible because the day detail might spill over to a later time.
Well, let me try to answer that a couple of ways. And first off, I caught the word vague, that people say, it's open-ended. The language is vague. No, it isn't. The language was negotiated by this team. It was talked about repeatedly at roll calls. It was talked about for months to the union representatives in the House who should be delivering that message back to the members. Attorneys on both sides on any contract, whether it's the Patrolmen's Union, the carpenters, the teachers, etc., attorneys are paid to represent their members, just like the department attorneys are paid to represent the interest of the department. So no matter what contract is out there, attorneys are always going to be able to argue points that are favorable to the people they represent. We can pick it apart on things that the department says the language identifies, and then you have, the commissioner's office and their labor relations team who wants to interpret language to benefit the commissioner and the department. Let's remind everybody that the collective bargaining agreement is bargained with the city of Boston, i.e. the mayor's office of labor relations. Does the police department and the police commissioner weigh in on it? Of course they do. But they're not entirely happy with what they have. Everyone on the street knows this, just like we do. We had the commissioner on this podcast last time around. Very thankful for the good work and relationship that he and I do together and perform on a weekly basis here. But there are things that he doesn't like, just like there are things I don't like. There are things I'm sure the mayor doesn't like. We all want to achieve everything that we want.
And everything that was written into the contract.
Yeah, and no side is ever 100% happy. And at the end of the day, the department's going to try to interpret things to make it work best for them.
Yep.
We're going to fight that at every step of the way because we know what was negotiated. We know what was agreed on. We know because we wrote the language with the mayor's office. We know what it says and what it's implied to do. So, we're going to continue having conversations with the department. I do want to put that on the record for people. As they know, I've been in contact with Don Casey from the Detectives Benevolence Association. They are on our public safety detail list, affected by anything that we do as well. So we're working and coordinating with one another. We are working with the commissioner's office on perceived interpretation on their side for what the language means. And I think we're making some headway. So, people want to talk about filing a grievance.
Well, I think that's a good. Let me ask you the question, because I've heard a lot of that when you tell folks, the department is interpreting the way they want to interpret it, which was incorrect. So now folks are like, well, let's file an injunction or let's file a grievance. What's the realistic, responsible, smart response when you do have a situation where they're not abiding by and following the contract the way it should be?
Well, let's jump to the injunction one, because that one kind of makes me chuckle too. Most members, some do. Most members don't really understand what an injunction is and how it works.
Sounds good.
In order to file an injunction in a court, you have to show irreparable harm. Now, we learned this most recently when a former leadership team filed an injunction on the body-worn cameras. of which they were wrong. They shouldn't have done it. We lost that case. We got 0% interest or pay raises for the change in working conditions for the camera that the men and women are wearing. Now, of course, this leadership team advocates for the body camera. We know that it is good for our membership. Our data proves that. However, we were not compensated for it because there was a rush to judgment from members at that time who wanted to hurry up and try to file an injunction. We're not there with this. This is not an irreparable harm. Members are working. It's not something we can file on. Now, on a grievance is a violation of the contract. There are steps in the process on how we get from point A to point B. Could we file that grievance right this second? Sure, we could. Is it in the best interest of the men and women we represent who are out there trying to earn for their families and provide for their families? No, it is not in their best interest. The best interest for our families is to coordinate with the Detectives Benevolent Association, continue working with the department to maybe get into the weeds a little bit more about what the department perceives the language to say and what Don Casey and I know the language says. So we're clear on our side. We disagree. As you can, I'm trying to be as professional as possible, as respectful as possible.
As the conversation continues, you can only share so much. But I think members should hear the fact that, the fight goes on every single day.
Well, there's nobody more aggravated than I am. I mean, look, I could get a little bit more animated and raise my voice, pound the table, and get I was just going to say bitchy. Can we say that? Anyway, I was.
Can we say?
Yeah. I was going to fly off the handle there, but it doesn't do me any good to get angry and show my frustration. I express my frustration when I'm in the room with the commissioner and his team, with the mayor and their team. I am very clear as I strongly advocate on the behalf of the men and women in this contract that we ratified, that we made with City Hall, that the department clearly disagrees with. That being said, the best way to solve a problem is to sit at the table with the stakeholders and work through those problems. And we're doing that. So I'm trying to be fair to the commissioner at the same time, but make no mistake about it, as people say, Larry should be more angry. He should run down there and file an injunction, file a grievance. There's nobody that's more irritated at the direction of the department than I. It's very clear to me. I know what was done at the table. It's all over the media and newspapers. We've been on this podcast. Yes. We know what the language says. And we know what the department is doing. And what the department's doing is what they always do when we get a collective bargaining agreement. They try to tear it apart. They aggravate the men and women on the street. They make their life more difficult, more stressful. And I don't want to say joke because it's not a joke, but they profess this mental health and well-being of the members and their families, and they do this crap and they make the job more difficult. So am I irritated? Yes, I am. But we will get through this. We'll represent the members, and at the end of the day, we'll be victorious, just like we were when we brought this contract to them.
On that note, I think we've come to the end of our podcast.
That's good because you're going to get me in trouble. You get me all.
Well, listen, I see you fired up every day. I get a kick out of people who want to say, well, you guys aren't angry. No one's angrier than us, and especially the guy who put together the deal. I mean, you poured everything into this. So when people are like, you guys aren't angry, trust me, there's plenty of frustration, but at the end of the day, you have to try to solve it. So it's good to hear and to know that's happening.
Anger only gets you so far. Right. For anybody that's listened to me,
they know. All right, answering the call at bppa.org is the email. And we got one email. It says, hey, guys, love the show. Keep it up.
That's the question?
No, it's a comment.
That's a comment. Okay,
and it's signed Mum. I mean, it's signed anonymous. I apologize. We appreciate the emails again, answering the call at bppa.org. Again, folks, questions, show ideas, critiques, whatever, please keep sending them along. We do appreciate the feedback, and we appreciate you folks listening to the show. Last word to you, Larry.
No, well said, Jamie. I would strongly encourage people to send the emails, and that's how we formulate some of these questions that are on this show. We want to be transparent. We want to answer what the membership is asking out there, and sometimes those questions don't get to us on the monthly meeting. So if you have something, fire it off. We'll try to answer it. Other than that, Be safe. Keep up the good work. Smile away. Those of you that are out there that I have seen working in the middle of the street or at a roll call that are smiling, that are happy, be happy. This is a great contract. You earned it. You deserve it. You work hard for it every day. I'm proud of it, and I will try to do better next time around. But we will see. It'll be difficult to achieve the standards we did here. But I'm very, very hopeful that we will not be without a contract expired, that we won't have to worry about retro money. I hope the mayor will do what she did this time, but time will tell. We'll see.
You called the shot. You said you would deliver, and you did, Larry. That's the show, everybody. Thank you so much to President Larry Calderone. Till next time, thanks for listening to Answering the Call, the official podcast of the Boston Police Patrolmen's Association. Till next time, everybody, stay safe out there.
Yep, be careful.